A fascinating development here when it comes to the ag industry. A new company is making waves with their innovative approach as they're manufacturing low-cost, instant readout, field-based nutrient sensors for crops, soils, and water. The main goal here is to improve management practices, boost grower profitability, and ensure environmental stewardship. This endeavor has roots right here at the University of Nebraska's Innovation Campus. Our team had the privilege of sitting down with UNL's Dean of Ag Research to delve into how this research at UNL has transformed into a new business.
So I want everybody to make sure, everyone who's listening today, to know the name of your company, and you give us one more kind of overall explanation of the technology and how that can help Nebraska.
Okay, so the company is called Ingenious Ag. It manufactures a handheld sensor you can stick into the stalk of a corn plant and measure the amount of nitrate in the sap of that corn plant, which is perhaps interesting for its own sake, but more importantly, can provide much better information than soil in terms of identifying which fields require additional nitrogen from side dress and which fields do not require additional side dress nitrogen. You're going to lose more money buying and putting down the nitrogen than you're going to make an additional yield.
So I want to learn really a lot about this concept, about how you took an idea from the lab and you turned that into a product and a business and how that is going. And really how did you become aware of an issue and how did that lead to this product development?
Absolutely. So in my the role at the university, I spend a lot of time interacting with growers, with other agricultural stakeholders, and I consider it very important to know what are their biggest concerns. Nitrogen has been a big concern for growers for a long time. It's typically their second most expensive input after seed in non-irrigated systems. And we are seeing in examples from states like Iowa, there's more and more of a push towards regulation of nitrogen runoff. That's something growers are concerned about. They want to get out ahead of it. The way to do that is to have more information. Right now, growers do not have good information about nitrogen levels, how much nitrogen they need in order to maximize their economic return from growing corn here in Nebraska or around the U.S.
And it sounds like this was a concept that really required a lot of different pieces to come together and understanding. So give me an idea and a description of what the technology is that you have developed.
So this is a technology that was developed in a collaboration between my group, Liang Dong, who is a very talented engineer from Iowa State University, and Mike Castellano, who is a real agronomist. My background is in plant genetics, and I now work on applied questions. Mike, and I were able to go to the RPE, which is the equivalent of DARPA from the Department of Energy to fund really advanced energy projects, and make the case that we had this potential technology to be able to monitor the amount of nitrate in the stalk of a corn plant in the field, and that this would both be much lower cost than existing nitrogen tests, but also be much more actionable. Because rather than looking at the amount of nitrogen in the soil, which is a very poor predictor of whether or not corn plants will have enough nitrogen, we can actually look at how much nitrogen is an individual corn plant extracting from the soil, which turns out to give us a much better sense of which corn plants need more nitrogen, more side dress fertilizer, and which ones do not.
So this is really a direct application that a user, a farmer, can take out into the field and then be able to use that for decision making on inputs they have for their production system. And maybe as a potential way to save some money and to increase their profitability.
Absolutely. So depending on the price of nitrogen fertilizer, we estimate that farmers could save anywhere from $1 to $6 billion a year in terms of fertilizer that they're currently applying to fields that is not making them back the cost of that fertilizer in terms of increased grain yield. Now, farmers are very smart people. The reason that they're doing this is they just don't have the data to know which are the fields that need the nitrogen and which ones don't. Since most fields need it, they're applying it everywhere.
Right.
If we can give them the data, it's a win-win-win. It saves the farmer money, improves water quality, reduces greenhouse gas emissions.
Excellent. So I'm curious about when a farmer's actually out in the field using the sensor, how many plants per acre would they have to test to be able to make a decision?
So that's something that we're still working on in the company right now, and that's been a big focus of our work in 2023 and in the 2024 field season, is testing how much sampling is required. Our estimate is that ultimately we're looking at perhaps one plant per 2.5 acres something equivalent to a soil test, but we're waiting on the information to be able to say that confidently.
That's great. So this is really an ongoing technology development project.
This is an ongoing technology development project. So we've proven out the core technology of the sensor. The real focus on right now is how do we scale manufacturing from something where a grad student is assembling it, a PhD level scientist is assembling this at a bench, to something where we can manufacture hundreds or thousands of these sensors, and then building out the standard operating procedures and best practices around using that sensor data so that farmers get the biggest bang for their buck.
And this kind of precision agriculture development and technology development, I mean, really Nebraska is the right place to do this. Why don't you give me some perspective about what your interaction with producers when you talk about your ideas and you talk about technology development?
Oh, it's a lot of fun talking to producers about this. The big thing I've had to learn to calibrate is explaining this is still a research technology. It's not something we have for sale today because we're not able to manufacture the thousands or tens of thousands it would take to be a commercial product. But it's really rewarding when you have a product and the people that you want to ultimately be selling to immediately get the value.
Right.
They immediately get why this would be useful for them. You're not having to do a big sales pitch. You're just explaining what you can do.